right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities, from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful.
At Capital One, we combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. Nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like DataRobot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
How is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to DataRobot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google, or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Waterfall flow. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1. 0+1. Affirmative. Keep going, baby. Still rising. Recorders. Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.
Well, good day, everybody. I suppose it had to end sometime, and today is that day. Welcome to the very last day of Transform 2022, the Edge and IoT Summit, presented by Lumen. Of course, we have been blessed with your presence for the physical and virtual conferences. We had over 3,000 attendees register and join virtually. So thank you to all of you. And of course, as you know, we split this year's virtual event content into 6 days and 6 topics. Today's summit will cover the Edge and IoT. And of course, we don't mean the Edge from YouTube. You know what we're talking about. So this event wouldn't be possible without you, and it would not be possible without the incredible and tremendous support from all of our wonderful partners. Thank you to all of them for supporting this year's great event and providing all that wonderful content for you, our wonderful audience. And of course, thank you in particular to today's sponsor, Lumen. They're providing such incredible content for all of you today. Please do be sure to go check out their sponsor profile, where you'll find all sorts of wonderful information and lots of value that you can make use of. So the event, of course, is being hosted on an interactive platform, and you can connect with other attendees. Don't forget, you can create your own schedule by starring your must-attend sessions. When you do that, when you put the star on them, you'll find them under My Interests, and you'll find that on top of the agenda. Of course, you hopefully have been meeting lots of amazing like-minded peers. Do remember that using the network navigation above, you can search through the entire attendee list and keep connecting. I, for one, am looking forward to grabbing a box of popcorn, sitting back and watching the magic happen from all these connections that you've made over the last week or so. Visit the sponsor profiles. Our sponsors are helping to provide you with all this amazing content. And in addition to that, you'll find lots of extra content, launches, white papers, reports, products. Go check it out. There's a lot in there for you. And of course, don't forget, the more sessions that you view, the more sponsor profiles you check out, the more games you play, you're earning points for the leaderboard. Today is your last chance to push yourself up that leaderboard and get a chance to win some incredible prizes. Of course, by now, I hope you've heard me say it 2.6 million times. If you want to ask questions, remember to use that type chat box that you'll find on the right-hand side of the session. If the speaker is available to answer questions, they're going to be waiting for you, and they'll make sure you get all the answers you need via type chat. So don't be shy. Think of a question on the fly as you're watching a session, pop it in there, and if the speaker's available, they'll reply to you. Of course, if you want more information about how to use this very platform, we've put together a nice quick how-to video. You'll find it right in the agenda. This is, of course, the last day of my personal campaign to get all of you wonderful people to bring the hashtags back. You'll remember that I said that the algorithms in TikTok and Instagram are now such that you don't need to use hashtags to get on the For You page or to get massive reach. But I feel like we should bring it back and do it old school. So the official Transform hashtag is hashtag VBTransform. Use it everywhere that you can use a hashtag. And of course, you can tag us at VentureBeat. All right, without further ado, let's get this day kicked off. So click into the next session at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Start your day right with opening remarks from Adil Omer of Lumen. All right, so we're kicking off this day with the opening remarks from Adil Omer, VP of Product Marketing and Analyst Relations from Lumen, answering that age-old question, what is Edge?
Hello, and thank you for joining us for this conversation of what Edge is and isn't. My name is Adil Omer. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Lumen Technologies, and I'm glad to have you here for a conversation that seems to be all the rage these days, and that is all about the Edge. Now, before we get into the technical mumbo-jumbo of Edge, let's talk about how our lives have generally changed over the last few years due to the pandemic. I personally took on exercising out of my home. Prior to that, the gym was my refuge. It was on my way home every day. And I suddenly had to pivot to all these people who were big fanatics of their home exercise machines and their connected fitness equipment. And I got to tell you, it really is a life changer. And what that led me to understand is the amount of technological complexity that sits behind a live class taking place halfway around the world, being telecast over digital networks to millions of devices worldwide. It truly is a technological marvel, and that is something that we just take for granted. When I think about edge and I think about the underlying technology, that is what I think about. It's the use cases that we apply every day that edge is enabling because of the lower latency and high bandwidth that it enables. If you take this use case around connected fitness in your home and kind of zoom out a little bit, you'll see there's two things here that I mentioned earlier. There's latency, which is how quickly can data bounce from one point to another on the network, right? So between my connected exercise machine and the camera that is recording the instructor in London. That's a measure that's really important because you want this to be as near real time as possible for my metrics to be transferred back and forth. The other thing that's really important is bandwidth. I want that quality of the feed to be really high quality. And so when you start to look at the use cases that we see more and more, AR, VR gaming, you start to see media and entertainment, you start to see connected supply chains, you start to see robotics. Those will all require more and more data, and they'll require less and less latency. So if I'm a robot and I need to have the data transferred from the camera in a different place to be able to pick something in a different room, I need all that data to be transferred pretty fast. Now, what if it's not a different room in the same building? What if it's a different room 2 cities away or 2 states away? Now that latency becomes really important. What if the data that's being analyzed is a video feed, a high resolution video feed? So what we're seeing is this trend towards a need for lower and lower latency coupled with more and more bandwidth needs. And these use cases are prone to requiring a different kind of technology. That's where edge becomes really, really popular or very, very important. Now, the other reasons that are driving edge computing, there's this 4 forces concept. And that is, the first is law of physics, right? That latency, just, if data is traveling at the speed of light, that distance is going to cause a delay in that packet moving from California to New York City. There's no way you can go about that, right? So if my data center is halfway around the country, it's going to cause a change. The other one is the law of economics. Those data transfers tend to be expensive. You've got the law of the land, which is, hey, there's California privacy laws, so I want to make sure my data stays in California. And finally, Murphy's law, which is, something can go wrong, it probably will. There's breakages, there's outages, so you want to depend on something that's nearby and possibly more reliable as a result. So edge computing is the answer to a lot of organizations' pains around how do I deliver this enhanced experience? How do I deliver online shopping, augmented reality use cases while dealing with the latency and bandwidth requirements? How do I deliver better performance, right? People don't like slow experiences. They want high performance and high responsiveness. Some use cases can't even work unless you have super high responsiveness. Augmented reality is a great example of that. How do I manage all of this more easily? How do I provide the auditability and the governance for all of this? That's where edge computing becomes very important to businesses across all industries. Now, I said I'll talk about what edge is, so hopefully we ran through that real quick, but what it is not. There is a trend in technology for organizations to want to try and co-opt the hottest new trend and the hottest new terms, and edge is no different. So you'll see a lot of companies saying 5G is edge. 5G certainly provides data transport wirelessly. It is not the edge. You'll see infrastructure providers trying to say edge is, oh, it's the same old thing. You've always had servers on premises. Now we're just calling them edge servers. They're part of an edge solution. They're part of an edge implementation. They are not the edge. Neither is the edge a place on the network or a place within your organization. So it's important to understand what edge enables, which is a brand new way to deliver data-intensive, low latency requiring applications to users worldwide in a distributed manner, and what it isn't, which is somebody's way of just trying to rebrand their solutions to what it is that organizations are looking for. So look forward to that conversation a lot more when we talk about edge and the IoT Summit. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the Edge and IoT Summit keynote, Cloud in a Web3 World, how edge computing drives platforms that converge the needs of IT, ops, and developers. Adil Amer, VP Product Marketing and Analyst Relations from Lumen, will be discussing evolution of the web leading to Web 3.0 and the characteristics of each generation of web-based applications, as well as the underlying technology stack that enables each generation of web apps. So over to you, Adil.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this conversation on cloud in a Web 3.0 world. My name is Adil Omar. I'm a VP of Marketing at Lumen Technologies, and I'm here because this is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. I started off my career as a developer in the Web 1.0 era, and those times were so dramatically different. We thought we were changing the world then, but with Web 3.0 and this new era of distributed technologies, we're in a place that's unlike anything we've seen before, and I'm so glad to be a part of it, although not as a developer, more in terms of the back-end technologies that enable Web 3.0 and distributed applications today. So let's go ahead and get started about Web 3.0. So a little bit of a brief history lesson. So dating myself, but I started my career back in the Web 1.0 days. This was the Netscape Navigator days, AOL. You used to have to dial up. But the characteristics of Web 1.0 were it's mostly a one-way feed of data. You went onto the web to consume information. There were publishers, content publishers, the CNNs, the Yahoos of the world, and then you would be the consumer. And so this is all, pages made in static HTML, mostly one directional, as I said. Web 2.0, we started to see in the early 2000s, is when content became more and more derived from users. And so today, that's kind of what the world is that we live in that's been popularized. So Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, those are all, communities where users like yourselves and myself contribute data and enrich the platform. So data is a lot more two-way. Of course, people have also found ways to monetize data, and that is such a key theme of what enables organizations to make money today. Again, characteristically, dynamic content, but user-generated content. And now we're starting to enter this world where it's not just the data from those applications, but it's the increased utilization and production of that data by not just humans, but by machines. And of course, being able to do it at a scale that is just unimaginable, where machines are analyzing data, analyzing behaviors, creating dynamic experiences that weren't programmed by a human. That's what Web 3.0 is trying to capitalize on. In addition to that, there's some other characteristics as well. So if you think about, the transition to Web 3.0 apps, the key shifts that will start to happen or are possibly already happening. The first one, I think the most important one is instead of this organizational control over your data, over the way things are organized and set up, the contracts, that goes from an organization being in charge to individual control. So a great example of that is cryptocurrencies. Right? You don't need to have a central bank or an authority kind of legitimizing a transaction between two parties. It's party to party directly. And the record happens to be publicly available. You've got content technologies that were previously human programmed, right? Now going towards more AI and smart contracts that change behaviors between the two parties that agree to the contract based on the terms of that contract. You've got trust instead of it being in an authority like a Visa or a MasterCard. There's an open standard. It's out in the public for everybody to see and to observe. The flip side of that is, you've got a lot of data that is trustless and does not require anyone's permission. So there is no publication standard. Everything's kind of out in the open, which can be a really big source of freedom in many ways. And then finally, and I think this is the single thread between the Web 2.0 to the Web 3.0 transition is instead of centralized everything, we're now moving to distributed everything. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But essentially think about every part of what it takes to take a web application to you goes from being in a central place that is super powerful and omnipotent and has control and visibility into everything to those same levels of control and that application and that code and that data and all that knowledge being distributed across this living body that Web 3.0 just basically enables. Okay, so let's take an example of how applications and data work today in the Web 2.0 world, moving into the Web 3.0 world. You have billions of devices, right? Your offices, in your homes, your smart car, your cell phones, they all transmit data, wired or wirelessly, through a global network, a massive global network. And all that data makes its way to the public cloud, right? The Googles, the Amazons, the AWS of the world, where that data is operated upon, and then you get a response, right? Now, when you get, tens of billions of devices, and those are growing, and you have more people, and you have experiences that are even more data intensive, it just isn't efficient for all that data to travel 2 states across or travel to a different part of the world. So how do you do this more efficiently, more securely? How do you allow for people's data to remain private when so much of this data is just traveling from one end to the other? The other part is a lot of that data doesn't need to live beyond the point that it's created. If I have a security camera that's looking at a closed door, I don't really care as long as that door isn't opened. So that's an event. That processing needs to happen at a different place versus some massive machine learning algorithm that needs to run in the public cloud. So where we're going now is towards a world where you have more and more edge computing locations. So the data is transferred to the nearest possible place where it makes sense for that data to be acted upon. That might mean on premises, right, where the data is being produced. So in my factory floor, in my office floor, on the car that I am driving, that would be sort of like your gateway solution, right? Or it might be a block down in a metro edge location where you've got edge servers that are providing the fastest possible performance for your unified communications and video conferencing tools, because lag on video conferencing kind of sucks, right? It could mean virtualized servers and virtualized storage services. It could require some orchestration of where my applications are going to live. So there's this paradigm shift. And what you've noticed here is a lot of those things that previously would just be either on my 4th floor office lab or would be out in the public cloud now get distributed seamlessly. There is no boundary. There is no perimeter of where I am and my devices are and where the public cloud lives. So now what we're starting to see is a lot of businesses are investing in this edge infrastructure. In fact, more than half of the IoT workloads that are going to be executed this year are going to live near edge or on the edge, right, on the premises, which is a huge number, right? It shows you that the world is moving closer and closer to that point of digital interaction. And the primary motivations for doing this are, hey, bandwidth is expensive, right? It's cost prohibitive. I get better security. I get better control over my data. I get better visibility into my data. The latency requirements that I have for the performance of my applications are very important to me. So I want that compute power to be as close to me as possible. Then there's greater reliability consequences with edge computing. You get better redundancy. Those are all the benefits of why organizations are moving towards, remember I said, centralized to distributed. So distributed is increasingly becoming more and more popular. Now, one of the things that we are starting to see is this shift in architecture that I just kind of touched on at a high level. You had an evolution of the natural client-server model, now moving back to this distributed compute model. And even though we're saying that now compute services can live anywhere, your applications might even be broken down to live in different places. So if I am out for a run, there's a part of the Spotify app that lives on my watch. There's a part of the Spotify app that lives in the cloud. So applications not only talk with one another, but there might be a GPS service, right? And that software runs on my watch. There are other applications that are running on my watch. That's device specific, but they might be communicating with something that is a local service. So my weather service might be something that needs to live on an edge compute location because centralizing it might not be beneficial for such a hyper local service. We see all this preponderance of applications. Underneath it all, though, we see that applications are ultimately still going to run on platforms which run on infrastructure. So what is your infrastructure? It's the fiber networks that connect global data centers. It's the servers. It's the physical hardware. That physical hardware then has a bunch of technology services. And this is what I'm most excited about, which is the platform, this concept of taking all of this hardware and providing it as virtualized services that you and I ultimately rely on. Even though I'm just relying on the Spotify app on my watch, ultimately it's running a data transfer protocol session. It's running authentication for my credentials. It's transferring data from a server in the cloud to my local telco over a network wirelessly to my watch. Those are all services that we are all going to start to rely on. And they happen because there's this platform to run applications that continuously helps us transfer that data that we need. So I live in my world at the application layer, right? That's how I interface with the technology stack. All the way down, you've got the physical stuff. And in the middle, it's the real meat of it all. And all of us are contending with a world like the IT practitioners, all those of us who work in the technology sector are working with this changing world where the platform is going to become the most important thing. And it doesn't matter if you're a developer, it doesn't matter if you work in IT, it doesn't matter if you are in operations, it's becoming one big ball of wax, right? It includes the virtualized IT services, it includes finding the right cloud environment for your applications, and it ultimately includes having the right kind of orchestration so the right application can live in the right place. Now, what do we mean by the various layers of the platform? So we talked about, I've got the physical data center, I've got the application on the top, there's a bunch of stuff in the middle, right? There's the virtualized services for compute. There are routing policies. There are security policies. There's load balancing. There's application security. There's an application hosting environment that might take your VM or it might take your container and host it all. Those are all parts of a platform that enables a distributed computing environment. So as you develop Web 3.0 applications, you develop applications that rely on constant connectivity, it's important to consider all these architectural considerations and their dependency on an underlying network, because we like to forget that there's all this complexity and hey, I'm just a developer. Here's my Dockerized application and it has all the requirements just deployed in the best possible way for me. But that's easier said than done. And as a developer, it's important to know what the underlying levers are that you can pull to improve the performance, to improve the resiliency, to improve the security of your applications. And that's a concern that you might not have to worry about most days, but knowledge about those considerations helps you become a better developer as well. The other thing about Edge that's super exciting is you still get the same platforms that you've always been used to. So if you want Node.js hosting, you want caching capabilities, you want DNS hosting, you want SSL, those are all services that run as platform services. But now in your mind, you know that those services are running closer to the point of digital interaction, and that'll get me better performance. That can be part of your application design considerations. So really important to start to think about the underlying infrastructure that enables your platform services. And then finally, as I said, this is always top of mind for every IT professional that I've ever talked to, and that is security. When my data constantly moves from my device to the cloud to 100,000 ad platforms, how do I make sure that the right encryption is being applied? How do I make sure that if I have a e-commerce website that it's not under attack? How do I make sure that I am keeping malware away from all the devices that I'm trying to protect? So there's considerations around the selection of a platform for Edge that should lead you towards saying, what is your built-in security? How do you treat layer 3 and layer 4 security? How do you treat application level security? How do you have WAFs and WAPs to protect where my applications live. And those are all really critical considerations for a platform that's going to host applications. And again, when those applications are distributed, they're all still connected by the network. So if you are exposed in one place, you're going to be exposed in a lot more places if you're not protecting your applications by design. And so it's really important for the platform to provide that as a capability. And then finally, as I said, performance, latency, those are all really important considerations, but you have to define them. And the platform needs to be able to understand those definitions and those requirements. So when we think about application performance, application latency, load balancing, when we think about the ability to provide that end user with the best possible experience, one of the most important things that we focus on is, do we have the visibility into what that performance is in every part of the network? So for instance, if I'm a large media and content provider, and we just released the last season of a super popular show, now that content needs to be distributed to users worldwide in the most efficient and most technologically advanced way, so that everybody at the end doesn't experience buffering. And organizations that are trying to deploy that code and that content in the best possible way have visibility into what the performance is. So visibility into that security, visibility into that performance is super important. So we at Lumen have been designing our Lumen platform specifically with those needs in mind. How is it performing? Do you have visibility into that performance? Is it secure? Is it connected with greater redundancy that you might need in case something goes down? Do you have the ability to expand and scale up that capability? Do you have the ability to spin up and spin down those services as necessary and as demand fluctuates throughout the day? Those are all things that we naturally found ourselves in a very enviable position to be able to deliver. The Lumen network connects to more public cloud servers, public cloud locations than any other network in the world. We own a lot of our own network. So you think about the application, you think about the platform, you think about the infrastructure. We own a lot of that infrastructure, which allows us to have the visibility and those integrations that allow us to deliver those kinds of dashboards for security, for performance that would otherwise not be possible. So really proud of how our platform strategy for Edge, for Web 3.0 applications really gives us a little bit of an edge, no pun intended. As you can see here, owning one of the world's largest network gives us this distinct advantage. We've been investing in edge node locations. We're very proud that because of those, the 4 laws that enable how quickly data can transfer from one place to another, our network allows us to deliver sub 5 millisecond latency to over 97% of enterprises in the US. It's over 70% of enterprises in Europe. It's because we are turning our network into the data center, in effect, by taking all of these server locations and putting them as edge compute locations within our network. That coupled with the interconnectedness, that coupled with our digital experiences for you to go out and deploy your bare metal servers with the orchestration on top, really gives us a bit of a distinct advantage. So in summation, whether you're a developer, whether you're an operations professional, whether you're an IT professional, when you start to think about edge, you start to think about deploying your applications on the edge, think about those 3 things that I talked about. Think about the underlying infrastructure, think about the platform and the capabilities of that platform. And then finally, think about the needs of your application and whether the underlying platform and the infrastructure have been designed to meet the needs of that platform. That is going to help you succeed in a Web 2.0 world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adil, for that wonderful and insightful keynote. Please be sure to visit the Lumen sponsor profile for more information and lots of value. So in the next session, Kai Wang from Zoox discusses how Edge is training AI for accurate real-time response. Click the above link, of course, to get access to this session. All right, so here we go. Next up, please welcome, it's my great pleasure to introduce Kai Wang, Director of Production from Zoox, who's going to be presenting on the topic of how situations occurring at the edge and provide the data required for training AI to respond accurately and in real time, along with how this can apply beyond the world of AVs in other AI settings.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Kai, and I'm the Director of Prediction at Zoox. Today, I'm going to be talking about challenges in autonomous driving and specifically how Zoox approaches them. Zoox's mission is about creating autonomous mobility from the ground up. And the central hypothesis of Zoox is that the model of individually owned, human-driven vehicles is broken. And it's broken for many reasons that I'll get into next. First, human-operated vehicles are dangerous. They account for 1.4 million annual deaths globally. Additionally, cars mostly sit idle in parking spaces and garages in the world. Cars are a significant source of traffic while they're searching for a place to park, after which they will then become idle. Transportation is a large contributor to pollution in the world. And finally, a massive amount of attention is required by people to actually drive the cars in aggregate worldwide. So solving these issues is kind of what Zoox is designed for, and we're going to go into how we do that. So in order to achieve the mission of Zoox, we must first be able to solve the problem of autonomous driving. So first, I'm going to show you a video of our software driving in San Francisco today. And I want to point out a few things. So first of all, this is a video of our software running on a fleet of retrofitted Toyota Highlanders, which we use to enable software development in parallel with our vehicle development. And what you might see is much of the time, autonomous driving is actually kind of easy. It's sometimes as simple as driving on an empty road or following a lead vehicle. However, since we're dealing with the real world, there's a wide variety of quote-unquote edge cases that can occur. And human drivers are remarkably good at handling edge cases of all kinds. And in order for us to have a product, we need to build this robustness into our system to achieve driving performance that's better than a human. At Zoox, we purposely do most of our autonomous testing in dense urban environments, like the hardest parts of San Francisco and Las Vegas, to maximize our exposure to these types of challenging scenarios that end up guiding our development of our overall system in order to handle these challenging situations. So one question is, what are edge cases? And these can go by many names, edge cases or long tail events. But when you're driving in dense urban environments, these edge cases occur at a much higher frequency than if you're driving in a suburban area. Here's a few examples of what we mean. Edge cases could be unusual objects on the road. For example, in the upper left image, it's a picture of a bucket, a container of fish, and fish are falling out on the ground. It could be things like a bowling ball rolling on the ground, some rubble, any number of things. So this presents an edge case for perceiving them, to kind of see what these things are. Edge cases could be rare events, like this example from the Women's March in San Francisco last year, where there's quite a large number of people on the road, and driving them. The rules for how to drive through these are not as straightforward. Construction zones are another general area that are not uncommon in cities, but each one is unique. Each one has different rules, the cone layout, the road geometry, there could be signage. So each one is kind of unique and potentially an edge case. And finally, situations that require fast reactions are also very challenging, like people stepping out behind a wall or other kind of these fast-acting situations. And for all these situations, human drivers, like I said, are remarkably good at reasoning about what to do. And because the concept of an edge case is so broad, there's not really a single solution that will solve all these cases, but rather we try to build in at our whole system level, at each layer, different types of mitigation to give us the best chance at handling these things. So as I said earlier, Zoox's mission is to build a ground-up robotaxi service. This means we're developing the autonomous driving software. We're also developing a purpose-built vehicle from the ground up and plan to deploy this by selling rides to consumers and not vehicles. And I'll explain how this vertical integration also serves us to help us solve edge cases as well. So here's a picture of our vehicle, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the vehicle to give you some context and how it applies to handling edge cases. So one thing you can see is in a traditional vehicle, the interior is really designed for a human driver, and the movement is designed to go in one direction. So you have windshields, you have the seats oriented a certain way, and the interior needs to fit various things like a steering wheel and other components to enable human driving. And in general, it's not very easy to get into or outside of this vehicle, especially in a pooling situation. In contrast, our vehicle is built more like a subway car with many benefits, including carriage seating, where each rider gets the same comfort and space and technology, and access to and a convenient way to schedule and pick up these rides. Some other things about our platform that enables a robotaxi type service is that with the powertrain, we have a battery that's able to last all day long, which makes the deployment more straightforward. We're targeting 5-star safety for all passengers, not just the passengers in the front seat. And the fact that the vehicle is symmetric also gives us the benefit of lowering our manufacturing complexity. Additionally, because we've designed the vehicle to move in both directions, bidirectionally, and can steer with all 4 wheels, it's much better in maneuverability as well. So it can get into much tighter spaces, and this is really important when you're driving around in dense cities where the space is a lot tighter in general. Additionally, we design it to make serviceability and durability much more straightforward, and with that in mind as well. So in addition to designing the vehicle for comfort, it's also been designed to make autonomous driving as easy as possible. And at the first step is basically how it makes perception, how it enables perception. So on the 4 corners of the vehicle, we have what we call sensor pods. And in each one of these pods, we have multiple sensor modalities co-located together. So we have RGB cameras. So these are typical cameras that you know. We have LiDARs also on the multiple corners. We have radars. We have thermal cameras and other sensors as well. And the reason for this is at this moment, the capabilities of each one of these sensors are nice and complementary to each other. For example, RGB cameras are great at sensing detail, and it's kind of the most similar to human vision. You kind of see subtle things in the image, and other types of cues that are pretty visual, traffic lights. But on the other hand, RGB cameras are really affected by a lot of situations like lighting conditions, or objects with not much texture, and in general, obtaining depth from RGB is still remains to be a challenge. LiDARs, on the other hand, are a really precise measure of depth, and it is a really good safety type of sensor because it can really tell you if there's like a direct measurement of something in the way. Radars can give you, are also a nice complementary sensor in that it can give you nice velocity measurements kind of naturally from the sensor. And thermal cameras also tell you if an object or if something is emitting heat in the image, which is really important. And so to kind of like dive a little bit deeper on the benefit of some of these sensors, so thermal cameras in particular are nice in that when you look at this image of the pedestrian at night in the shadows, it's hard to tell from the RGB image if there's anything there. But when you look at it in this LWIR, long wave IR, or thermal camera, it's much more apparent. And this makes this particular type of edge case much easier to handle. And you can see in the image with the steam as well that the thermal images you can see through it through things in a much more visible way. And so what this is showing is kind of overlaying all the different sensors together in a typical drive that we have. And what you can see is just the complementary nature of all these things when you run them at the same time. So you get the depth, a nice depth from LiDAR, you get the detail from the RGB, the signals from radar and thermal. And the job of perception is to then use all these sensors together and fuse them together to produce just a single representation for all the objects around us. And having all these modalities together give us the best chance at recognizing all the things in the world around us. Next, I want to talk a little bit about prediction. And so prediction is the task is after we've seen all the objects with our perception system, we need to be able to predict the future movement of all these agents, so then we can properly handle their behaviors. And so what this image is showing is that just the single most likely future position that's predicted by our system. But in reality, since the future in a time horizon of like 8 seconds, a lot of different things are possible. The job of prediction is really to output a distribution of these future potential trajectories. And this is important for autonomous driving. So with prediction, we do have the benefit of having essentially free ground truth from our logged perception system whenever we have done previous drives in the past. So what you can see here is that at this particular time, when we look at our data, we know pretty accurately where these cars and pedestrians will end up 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds into the future, which makes it a really nice setting to do machine learning when we have all this data. And specifically, deep learning is a powerful tool in this setting. Okay, so here's an example of some of our predicted trajectories from the output of our prediction system. And what you can see here is that in urban environments, all sorts of things can happen. The car at the bottom cuts in front of us, and we predict that the trajectory does that. And another car at the top does a U-turn within the junction. And as it gets closer to doing the U-turn, you can see that the trajectory becomes more accurate as it continues to move. And this type of recognition of behavior is really only possible by using a data-driven approach, using deep learning. It's quite difficult to kind of hand engineer behaviors like this. And finally, so after we've been able to see the edge cases, we've been able to model them. Our planner has the final decision on what to do, how to navigate through the world, and get us to our destination. And here's just some more examples of this. So here's another video of us going through the city, overtaking a double parked vehicle in the rain. And you can see the planners taking into account all the dynamic entities from our perception system, and then all the predicted trajectories, and trying to navigate a safe path around it. So this is a merge. And So while seeing edge cases, modeling edge cases are really important, there's still going to be, as we're developing, there's still going to be some situations where we that are just so novel and so difficult that we still need some human intervention. And for these situations, we rely on what we call teleguidance. And teleguidance is really to assist vehicles to navigate these edge cases where we're at a safe stop already. But these help us handle some of the most rare and complex driving situations. And as you can see here, we have a human operator basically dialed into the situation and suggesting a route for us to go around to get through this blockage. And currently, we receive teleguidance for less than 1% of our total mission time in complex environments. And as our system gets more mature, this percentage should go down over time. And one other thing to highlight is that when our system is in teleguidance mode, the vehicle is still in control. It's still checking for collisions and obstacles with other agents. And finally, as we experience edge cases in the world, we need a really strong feedback loop to then have that influence our future testing. And an important part of that is our simulation system. So simulation basically allows us to test and validate our software before it goes on the vehicle, but also provides a great place for us to try out more edge cases or variants of edge cases that are not safe to do in the real world. And it's important to just build that feedback loop where we are learning from edge cases, we're seeing enough, and we're having that go back into our validation plans. So to kind of like wrap up and bring this all together, there's no real one silver bullet for edge cases in autonomous driving. You need multiple sensor modalities and fusion to see everything, to see these edge cases, to give your system the best chance at seeing them. You need data-driven algorithms to model behavior. You need teleguidance for very rare situations. And you need simulation for testing and validation and producing even more novel edge cases. And ultimately, you need a feedback loop from field testing to development and validation. And with that wraps up the presentation. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kai. That was really, really interesting and insightful. And for sharing your work with the Transform audience. For the next session, we have a fireside chat with the CIO of John Deere, discussing digital transformation in manufacturing. You know where to go. Click that above link to get access to the session. All right, now we have a great conversation. Of course, it's always my great pleasure to introduce the CEO of VentureBeat, Matt Marshall. And Matt will be talking with Ganesh Jayaram, CIO of John Deere. They'll be talking about John Deere's successes and lessons on driving digital transformation in manufacturing. So over to you, Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Marshall, founder of VentureBeat. Welcome to a conversation with Ganesh Jayaram, CIO of John Deere. who's leading a 180-year-old manufacturing company through an IT transformation, including most recently leveraging the intelligent edge. Welcome, Janesh.
Matt, thank you for having me.
So over the last decade, you've had a transformation starting to deploy sensors and smart tools in your manufacturing process to collect data from your machines, the manufacturing process. Can you speed us up to 2022 and tell us how that transformation is looking and what are some of your biggest initiatives?
Yeah, Matt, it's been a great journey for us. You might think of John Deere traditionally as a company that's known for manufacturing excellence. And over the last decade or so, we've embarked on a digital transformation journey across the company. So if you have read some of our achievements of late, you'll recognize our leadership in the precision agricultural space that has really enabled our large ag customers to become more productive and sustainable. We've taken that exact approach and mindset to transform our internal operations, much like the way we deliver solutions to our customers. Most of your audience will be aware that manufacturing historically has been an analog process. And over the last decade, as I mentioned, we've been trying to increase digitization of our core processes. So we started to incorporate sensors and tools in our manufacturing process just so we can collect data along the way to ensure that the manufacturing steps that we are carrying out are performed accurately and consistently. And so that strategy was the start of our digital transformation. And you might think of that as Industry 4.0 across the manufacturing sector. Along the way, our focus has remained the same. Our manufacturing operations are focused to make sure that quality, safety, efficiency, and sustainability are really the core of what our focus remains. And so over the last few years in particular, just as a book into that transformation and where we are today, beyond just the sensors, we start to incorporate more connectivity and analytics with capabilities like the 5G, private cellular networks, and computer vision, artificial intelligence, and the like to drive optimization across all of our factories.
Yeah, you were doing some really interesting things just a couple of years ago, putting, as I was reading, up to 400 sensors on some of your machines, right? These automated agricultural spraying machines. And I was thinking of the task that it would take to actually load up all this information to the cloud as you were doing. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and changes you've made to adapt to this new intelligent edge, where presumably some of that information is staying on the edge?
Yeah, it's a great observation on your part that one has to think about how do you leverage intelligence at the edge closest to the point of impact, while also thinking about the public cloud. And so at Deere, at least, when we think about the edge first and foremost, we're thinking about factories and warehouses. And we are trying to drive compute and analytics as close to that point of impact away from what a traditional on-prem data centers have been. And so we got two big strategies. One is the public cloud, one is the edge. And we realize there's a need for both. And in the process of defining what type of workloads take place at which location. There are certain processes that really lend themselves well to being at the edge. And you can think of those applications that have low latency. So you really don't have the time to be sending the information back to the cloud, just like you talked about in our equipment out in the field. Same mindset as we think about our operations going forward in our factories and warehouses. So if you read some of the macro trends, folks talk about a 20-fold increase at a minimum in terms of the number of sensors that you're going to be putting in the factories. And this is just not about Deere, but this is about the industry at large. So as you try and scale up to that level of communication and knowledge at the edge, we're starting to invest, as I said before, in private cellular networks at our factories. And that's probably the best example of how we are trying to translate the intelligence out at the edge so that we have those applications that have high bandwidth and low latency that can be performed there. You might know that we acquired the CBRS spectrum at the FCC auction a few years ago in some of the counties where our factories operate here in the Midwest. And we are actually running a bunch of different pilots today to prove out some use cases that we can now start to work more of some of these operations at the edge, while also ensuring that the rest remain in the public cloud.
Ganesh, thanks for explaining that. One of the things you mentioned in prep here is I was challenging you or asking you, what is the emerging new data stack in manufacturing or in data strategy, right? We talk about the public cloud layer, whether it's AWS or Azure or a mix or hybrid. And then you've got your on-premise operations, and then you have databases and applications on top, and so on. And some people talk about the modern stack. And you told me, well, it's actually much more important to talk about the process. The stack can change from company to company. Strategy can change. You implemented something called the new agile operating model, or you've been there for I think 15 years, and you introduced this. And you have something called the manufacturing execution systems. Can you explain how that works, and then maybe some of the results you've been most proud of?
Yeah, no, happy to. So the agile journey has been a journey for us in the organization, I would say, over the last decade. And specifically within the IT function, we started to embrace this agile operating model that you just called out here over 3 years ago. It started first and foremost with our digital teams, but then by virtue of close interaction with our colleagues on the shop floor and engineering operations and the like, we've taken some of those very same agile concepts and started to apply them. So in this particular example, and if you go to a large construction or ag factories here in Dubuque, Davenport, or the Harvester Works, you will see a number of our manufacturing teams take the same principles and concepts that apply to software development and bring them to the shop floor. So it's not uncommon to find these teams swarming on ideas or challenges for that particular day using this concept of that sprint cycles that we know is common in software development, focused on customer value creation. Teams come together, they swarm on an idea, and they really try and drive the solution in a matter of days out to the marketplace. So that's probably the best example of what I would call out as the scalability of the agile operating model that we started off in the digital world and how it's applied to the manufacturing sector at large. Now, if I just go back to the rollout of the agile operating model, in the digital world alone, we've seen significant impact over the last 3 years all across the board, because this agile operating model was adopted across all of the IT functions. So if you think about John Deere, we have roughly about 3,500 Deere employees that are working in about 500 different product teams. And across the board, we've seen significant improvements in terms of our time to market, quality, and the like. Specifically in manufacturing, the digital product solutions that we offer our production workforce, we've seen about a 60% reduction in support incidents, which translates to better quality. There's 2 to 3-fold increase in customer features and about a 10-fold increase in the number of deployments. So that just tells you to bring this all together. We are releasing more features, much higher quality, and then probably the most important underlying theme that we are excited about is that our engagement scores are up 20 points. So our teams really love this new way of working with that focus on customer centricity.
Ganesh, thanks for that. Okay, you're investing in a lot of technologies as part of the success, and it sounds like a lot of them are emerging. We have 5G allowing you to do more things at the edge. Obviously, you have computer vision. You're introducing data and analytics, robots, cobots, digital twins. Can you talk maybe a little bit about some exciting, if you can pull out a couple of examples that you're particularly excited about on the application level for your customers?
Yeah, no, happy to. And you talked about this emergent manufacturing tech stack a couple of times. So probably the best way to conceptualize this, as you think about in the world of manufacturing, we've combined the IT and the OT components together. So we've taken the core IT stack and we've started to add some of the manufacturing components to create what in our world we call out as a manufacturing tech stack. So at the very top layer of the stack are applications and analytics. Right under that is our data platform. Under that, you would think about platforms of connectivity and core software, right here, like enterprise resource planning software. And then you've got hardware and devices, and cutting across that layer of stack is cybersecurity. And so in each and every area of the stack, we are investing in and really driving changes to modernize our stack. All with the ultimate goal to drive exceptional business outcomes both within the four walls of the factory, but what translates to real benefits is for our end customer. So you talked about the manufacturing execution system. The manufacturing execution system is a set of applications that we provided a production workforce to ensure that there is adequate process control, that every step of the process, we are ensuring that through the combination of sensors, probably CVML and the like, we are sensing quality and at the highest levels and ensuring that the torque is applied at the right level before we move it to the next stage. All that means is by the time the product lands in the hands of our customer, we are hitting distinctive quality levels and higher than what we would have anticipated a few years ago. So the end result of all this is continuing to deliver on the promise that when you buy the John Deere product and equipment, we put quality at the core of all of our products, and then we're combining this with the different levels of analytics and machine learning and the like, as it's appropriate along the production tech stack to ensure that our customers get the benefit. And then along the way, our production workforce is starting to use these smarter tools to improve their efficiency as well. Probably one other example I can give you is how do we track material flow along the operations. And therein, again, we're using smart analytics to track the flow of inventory at different points in the system, but also how do we route the materials in the factory to improve levels of efficiency. So I talked about first, how our customers are going to benefit with much higher uptime and great quality machines. And this example that I just gave you of material routing is driving significant levels of improvement in the efficiency of our operations as well.
Ganesh, I want to come back to the streaming. You talked a lot about the focus on the customers as a company where you're moving away from product focus, but really focusing on the processes your customers need. And there was this, over the last few years, you've had this process of virtual verification of products right before they're actually shipped. Can you talk a little bit about how important the metaverse is for you and how you're thinking about it? You've talked a few times about digital twins. How powerful is the digital twin concept as a way to actually virtualize everything before that manufacturing or the machine is delivered to the customer?
Yeah, and we are very excited about the metaverse as an organization, but we'll also say it's pretty early days. So we are in our early stages of the journey in terms of thinking about applicability of metaverse to our operations. We do forecast several breakthroughs that will happen with the digital twin, like you just talked about, that allows us to change the user experience for both our customers and our employees. Because if you're able to provide a digital experience that mimics the physical world, it enables our customers and for our employees to be much more engaged with our product. So at the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this year, we shared an experience where anyone could look at the inside of an 8RX tractor through their mobile device. So this type of capability will enhance the purchasing decision, makes it much more engaging for our customers, wherever they are, to help visualize the product, imagining that they're in the seat of the tractor, for example, and also think through the configuration from a sales experience, right? If I'm going to pick these type of features and the like, what does that look like? We do see these experiences starting to become more commonplace in our sales cycle longer term. Probably what is already here and now is how we are embracing the digital twin construct that you talked about within engineering, within manufacturing. So you got the concept of a digital twin, you got the concept of a digital thread that connects across the different silos. So recognizing that a lot of our engineering centers are dispersed globally, the digital twin allows our workforce situated, whether it's in India or Europe and the like, or Mexico as an example, and to have a very similar experience like somebody might be sitting here in the US as they look at the same digital twin. And so those are aspects that we would say that we are really excited about here and now. And then the sales experience that I talked about is just one which we think is going to become more real in the near future.
Very interesting. Can you just one more on the digital twins? Do you feel like you're building able to build most of that internally, Ganesh? I mean, there's a lot of innovation and investment happening. I think tens of billions or more from Meta alone, and other companies trying to build headsets, build this ecosystem, and then there's a lot of privacy and security concerns around that. How do you approach that? Are you going to be a maybe second mover, just watch how things play out, or are you trying to stay on the leading edge of that yourself?
Yeah, well, I think it's a blend, Matt, as you might expect. The example that I gave you of the FCC auction is one where we think we are the leader. right? We acquired the CBRS spectrum in that particular example because we believed that this was worth the investment to try out the private cellular network to drive more intelligence at the edge. So there'll be areas, whether it's a metaverse or in this particular example that I gave you, or the private cellular network, where we're going to be making some aggressive calls on whether the technology is far enough along, that we have enough confidence in it, that we want to be an early mover and shape the industry. And in some cases, where the technology is still in its early stages, we might be doing what you just called out. Now, we might be a second mover into the marketplace and let it play out. And then to your question of, do we do that all by ourselves or, do we leverage third parties? That's always been the core of our design principles, whether it is the manufacturing sector or whether it's in the digital side. We understand that we need to have an ecosystem of partners that help us deliver better experience to our customers at the end of the day. So while there's pride of ownership when we put the John Deere brand on the machine, what we are really more interested in is that we can leverage the best technologies that are out in the marketplace. And if that means that we've got to pilot a few different ones early on to figure out where do we make our bets, that's what we do. And so you've seen that in our track record in terms of how we build some ecosystem of partnerships. Now, this is outside of the metaverse, but it probably gives you an inkling to how we think, whether it's the Blue River Technologies or the Bear Flag acquisition or Harvest Profit. Some of these examples of acquisitions started off with a partnership between us and those companies, and then eventually we brought them to our core. So we have a mindset of embracing the best and brightest technologies, that is a best and brightest technology mindset out there, and getting some of those technologies to the core. And some are partnerships and some are acquisitions over time.
Ganesh, we're actually out of time. I said I was going to come back to this question. Maybe we could just make it real quick, which is the emphasis on data streams from all your manufacturing processes. This is your apparently one of the initiatives you have, so important. Can you tell us why it's so important and what the big challenge is, just really briefly?
Yeah, so we are handling loads of data. As you talked about the emerging tech stack, the data platform is right under the analytics layer. And good quality data is really important to drive real-time analytics. So as we think about intelligence at the edge and improving the efficiency of our internal processes, as well as improving the experience for our customers, that core analytics function has to be driven on really reliable data that cuts across our internal silos, be it manufacturing, engineering, and supply chain. So we've invested very aggressively in what we call out as a John Deere Data Factory, which is a one-stop data and analytics shop that comprises of the enterprise data lake, where we are bringing in these different streams of data, curating it, and making sure that the data is the highest quality, that it is that it is well cataloged, so that citizen practitioners, be it on the shop floor, outside of IT, be it on the shop floor, be it in financial services, are using all of that data to improve their core operations. And specific to your question about manufacturing, we have a number of citizen practitioners out in our factories today that are using the data in the lake to run real-time analytics to improve their operations. That's what we get really excited about. Data as an engine to drive analytics that drives differentiated business outcomes.
Ganesh, thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for the great conversation, Matt and Ganesh. Now, we've had the pleasure of talking with John Deere Transform over the past few years, and frankly, it's always great to see how much progress is being made year on year. All right, so for the last session of the day, and of Transform 2022, we have a great panel of thought leaders. They come from Lumen, HTC Live, and Microsoft. So, as you can see, big names. And they're going to be discussing how high-performance networking is accelerating innovation. This is a must-attend. So definitely click the below to get access to this panel discussion.
How can the right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful. At Capital One, We combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. Nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like Data Robot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
how is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to Data Robot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Wonderful, folks. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0+1. Affirmative.
Keep going, baby.
Still rising. Recorders on.
Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.
How can the right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities, from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful.
At Capital One, we combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. Nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like DataRobot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
How is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to DataRobot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Ignition. Waterfall flow. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1. 0+1. Affirmative. Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.
How can the right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful.
At Capital One, we combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like DataRobot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
How is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to DataRobot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Ignition. Waterfall ball. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1. 0+1. Affirmative.
Keep going, baby.
Still rising. Recorders.
Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.
How can the right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful.
At Capital One, we combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. Nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like DataRobot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
How is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to DataRobot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Wonderful, folks. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1. 0+1. Affirmative.
Keep going, baby.
Still rising. Recorders.
Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.
Okay, so we are now at the final session of the Edge and IoT Summit and of Transform 2022 in its entirety. It's my supreme pleasure to welcome you to the panel, True Stories from the Lumen Edge, how high-performance networking is accelerating innovation across hardware, software, and service sectors. So, who do we have? Well, here you're going to see Dan O'Brien, GM Americas at HTC Live, Chip Swisher, the Global Practice Director for Smart Solutions at Lumen, Rick Livano, Worldwide Director of Industry Technology Strategy at Microsoft, and David Shakochis, VP of Enterprise Product Strategy and Global Head of Managed Services at Lumen. We expect this one's going to prompt some amazing questions from all of you, our wonderful audience. So if you have questions, don't forget, use that type chat box on the right. So now, taking us to the end of Transform 2022, it's over to you, Dan, Chip, Rick, and David.
Hi there, my name is Dave Shakochis. I'm the Vice President of Product Strategy for Enterprise at Lumen. And we're really happy to be with you today to talk a little bit about how edge computing is transforming use cases and strategies for some of the real giants of the industry across hardware, software, and service provider domains. So we've got a great panel to discuss the edge from that perspective. And I'd like each of them to just introduce themselves real quickly. Dan, starting with you from the hardware perspective in HTC.
Hi, David. Thanks for having us. My name is Dan O'Brien. I'm the general manager for HTC Vive, and I've been with this company for 15 years, and I started the Vive business. So I'm pretty excited to be here and talk with you guys about what is the future and how do we use all of this great, amazing edge computing and how's it going to affect the future of our technology.
Fantastic, Dan. Great to talk to you again. Rick, maybe talk a little bit about your role at Microsoft.
Hey, David. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So I'm Rick Levin. I'm the CTO for the worldwide telecommunications industry at Microsoft. And so what does that mean? I get to work not only with our customers in the telco field, but really a whole slew of partners like Lumen, as well as our product groups, our engineering teams that are building products that are suitable for telcos in some way in order to run their business, run their networks, and so forth. And so I ensure that our customers are well represented when I talk to these product groups to ensure that we're building products that, again, are meeting their demands, that are carrier grade and so forth.
Yeah, huge role in the software space to make those products and those markets fit. Chip Swisher, my colleague from Lumen, has agreed to join us from the service provider perspective. Chip, maybe introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about your role.
Sure, thanks, Dave. So Chip Swisher, I run the Internet of Things practice for Lumen. So we operate as a systems integrator, pulling together pieces from our portfolio and the portfolios of all the people represented here, and bring that together into a single end-to-end solution. So we've got a lot of good experiences and perspective in bringing together compute resources, network resources, hardware, software into an end-to-end solution for our customers.
That's great. So a lot of great perspectives and industry insight from all three of our panelists today, talking about hardware, talking about software, about services, and of course, everybody overlaps in those domains as well. So what we thought we would do, given all that perspective and given the diversity of those industries, we thought we would start off by talking and grounding the conversation a little bit in history and what's led us here, what's led us to the edge. You can kind of look at it historically across these periods of technological achievement, whether it was steam power, enabling certain kinds of mass production industries, or electrical distribution really fueling the modern industrial economy, or the dawn of computing power, sort of the dawn of IT and microprocessing, which has now led us into this fourth industrial revolution, which is really geared all around the acquisition, the analysis, and the action against sources of data, and all the different sources of data that fuel the modern industrial economy. That's this fourth industrial revolution that we're right on the cusp of. I think within those last two industrial revolutions, I think a lot of folks have observed how computing power itself has gone through some evolutionary cycles that kind of oscillate back and forth between centralized models and distributed models, right? Where it's the original dawn of mainframe and kind of the dawn of IT, distributing out to client server models, kind of consolidating back towards the cloud and sort of bringing all the business logic into more centralized postures. But now we're seeing this explosion of all the different sources of data, the different ways to process that data, the different kinds of sensor actuator cycles. They can really add a lot of value to customer experiences, industrial efficiency, all these different kinds of business outcomes from the many different ways to leverage the edge, right? So the industrial cycles occurring across decades, the computing cycles occurring across even smaller periods of years have really led us to this exciting time in the industry. And so we wanted to start off maybe talking with that historical perspective as a baseline. Dan, maybe start with you from a hardware perspective. As you think about this fourth industrial revolution era, right, this fourth wave of computing at the edge, how has processing power and the way that HTC leverages it evolved? Right? There was a time where it was all about general purpose merchant silicon. Now we have GPUs and ARMs and TPUs and all sorts of different types of technologies that are a lot more prominent in the industry. How has HTC evolved their thinking there?
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. I mean, we started off as an ODM company, right? We were actually making motherboards and chipsets for other companies and other products and PCs using general purpose merchant silicon. We actually moved very quickly into ASIC chips and GPUs and ARM, and that evolved in smartphone technology. A lot of people actually don't realize, I think, with the dawn of what we see today in the XR world of building these new types of immersive products, it actually evolved from so much of the chipsets. It evolved so much from the smartphones. What's in modern VR headsets and displays is a smartphone panel that was powered by the need to have higher visual quality and fidelity inside of a smartphone. Now we're seeing where we need even more processing power. We need even more visual quality and performance inside of VR headsets or an XR headset, and an AR type of solution. So we're seeing this actually increase in terms of the demand and the overall performance needs. I think it's pretty incredible. The initial products, required large PCs and GPUs in order to make this stuff all work. Now we're actually moving all of this into a cloud environment and actually putting all of that up into the cloud for users to be able to go to scale and security and performance. So in the essence of the fourth generation, we now have artificial intelligence, machine learning, that's all going to help optimize that for all of this virtual content and interactions. So, this is going to make
all those processors in all those places, really matching all those processors in all those places. It becomes such a challenge. That's great. So, Rick, from a Microsoft perspective, how are you all looking at this historical perspective? I think some of us are old enough to remember software development used to be around just copying files around, right? Getting the software deployed in the right location. It's come a long way as we've sort of progressed through these computing cycles. How has Microsoft really driven a lot of that history?
Thanks, David. You're absolutely right. The cloud really has changed everything, and the edge is really just an extension of the cloud. And so at Microsoft, we talk quite a bit about this notion of the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge. And it's really a way to deliver applications across the entire computing canvas to where they're needed, to where it makes sense. And as a developer, you like to think that you can build an app once. You want to use the latest technologies, which right now it's cloud native principles, and you want to be able to deploy it anywhere, whether it's the public cloud, up in the sky, or really an edge location. And so this vision that we have of intelligent cloud, intelligent edge is really largely dependent on our telco partners, because at the end of the day, they provide that connectivity, that connective tissue that's required for this vision to become a reality, right? The cloud needs to connect to the edge. And without telcos like Lumen, really there is no intelligent edge. I like how you drew parallels between the computing waves, right? Because, as people, we love to compare things, right? It's innate. And yes, you're right. There's a lot of similarities between the mainframe to cloud and between client server to edge. It's reasonable conclusion. But unlike the move from mainframe to client server, for example, where in this case, each mainframe and client server had their own unique development models. They had their own governance. It wasn't just about the hardware. Everything was different. The programming languages were different. Cloud and edge are really essentially the same DevOps model, right? It's the same cloud native capabilities that are available in the edge or in the cloud. Certainly in the edge, you may have a subset of those cloud capabilities because of scale, but the programming model is the same. The DevOps model is the same. Same management portal, same management interfaces and APIs. So the edge really just becomes another cloud region for a developer to deploy their applications to. It becomes a deployment target for their cloud native applications. That's a huge difference between mainframe and client server. Yep. Again, as a developer, I'm really amazed at the advances in tooling, especially in the last few years. AI, for example, has had an incredible influence, not only in the applications that we create as developers, but as the applications that we write and how we develop those applications. So the cloud gives you, of course, limitless compute capabilities. That's really at your fingertips. You need 1,000 VMs for supercompute? No problem. In 2 minutes, you'll have them. You'll need 10,000 VMs or containers? No problem. Again, scale is not an issue. But features like serverless computing, for example, really enable you to take your applications to the next level. In a sense, you'll be able to create and deploy complex applications using microservices, using unimaginable simplicity. Things are much different. And as a developer, AI is really, again, transforming the way you write code. I ran into this little product called GitHub Copilot recently, and it just blew my mind. Copilot is an AI pair programmer. We've all heard the concept of AI pair programming, really where you're working with somebody else to help write better code. In this case, Copilot is your AI pair programmer. You can write code faster with a lot less work. It really draws context from the comments that you write in your code. And it uses OpenAI Codex, which is an AI subsystem that's created by OpenAI that's hosted on Microsoft Azure in the cloud. And it's really fascinating how Copilot evaluates the text in your comment, and it processes it and actually writes code in the programming language of your choice. And so that's absolutely amazing, taking a comment and doing that. So give it a try. Look, search for GitHub Copilot. It's mind-blowing.
So all these preponderance of tools that are really all about being able to develop a software and get the business logic out where it needs to be, but do it at scale, and do it at massive amounts of repeatability. That's certainly what I hear you calling out as computing has evolved, so has those tools. So Chip, as we start thinking about stitching it all together from a solutions and a service provider perspective, how have you seen history evolve in the space? Right, there used to be kind of in some inherent complexity to anything that was a technology or an IT problem. Now the cloud and some of the tools make some things easier, but the opportunities and customer expectations make things more complex. How do you navigate that as a service provider?
Yeah, and so I'll give some of my answer related to kind of my specialty around IoT. And so as we see kind of the evolution of IoT, people say, think of IoT as, it's a new concept. And in reality, it's been around for 20 plus years. The concept of being able to take data off of machines and devices and do things with it. I've seen really now the wave of what I call IoT 2.0, where where IoT kind of did that same evolution, where you maybe had in a factory floor a localized production line control machine that was doing processing there locally. And then we saw the advent of moving that out to the cloud, and different stovepipe cloud providers providing centralized end-to-end solutions in that space. Now we're really seeing the need for integration and what I call IoT 2.0 now, where we're starting to see cross stovepipe use cases where having data coming from multiple different IoT infrastructures and IoT paradigms, and being able to bring all of that data together into a single view. Really, again, as we talk about machine learning, that's really the next evolution of having full visibility across everything that's going on, across a city, across a plant, across a warehouse and distribution floor, and be able to bring that data together. And so that obviously creates new challenges, both from a compute standpoint and a network integration and services standpoint, where we now need compute even closer to those aspects, because building all those things together, we really need the ability to have that happen even more in real time to be able to adjust as we need it. So the concept of using compute on a premise, compute in we'll call it a metro edge or a near edge capability, as well as the cloud, and being able to have all of those out there, and again, really being able to bring all of those pieces together and be able to move compute around between those different locations really has become critical.
Right. So what I'm hearing you say there too is, with all the possibility and all the complexity, the challenge of integration never goes away. Right. Getting things to talk to each other in very specific and requirements compliant ways is really where the challenge still fundamentally lies. So as we start take that historical message and maybe kind of pivot it forward to how companies are actually strategically approaching this fourth industrial revolution, this world at the edge. Dan, what's HTC's approach towards the edge? What's your sort of corporate strategy around distributed computing and edge devices?
Well, edge computing has really been the proof point of how we're going to hyperscale XR technology in general. We went from a tethered and a PC and all this heavy equipment, all these localized needs, and literally putting it all in the cloud and putting it in the edge of the network. Being able to deliver content, high polygon, 90 frames per second plus, with very, very low latency content to headsets or wearables or glasses. Like this is the technology that enables the adoption of XR technology for whether it's B2B and enterprise and businesses or consumers at scale. It brings together, safe delivery, secure delivery, quality and performance that 5 years ago you needed, dedicated equipment in a room for, and tracking. Now you can actually do all of this in the field with a distributed, workforce, localized, content for that workforce, and you can have those kinds of, collaborations, inside of your corporate environment. Whether it's training or collaboration, you can actually now deploy this at scale and give your employees and consumers these great experiences over a cloud. And so when I look at the origination of XR technology, from years and years and years ago, and where we actually tried to deploy it at scale 5+ years ago, this is really the railroad system that's actually going to deliver content to these types of devices that are going to be used openly by consumers and companies.
Yeah, the HTC and your whole Vive portfolio, clearly a company geared up for geared for the edge and geared for that more intelligent world in a distributed model. Rick, how does Microsoft certainly a force in the industry broadly from IT perspective, but how does Microsoft think about the edge and what's the strategy there?
So Microsoft is a platform company, right? Platforms are a core business. We're not an ad company. We're not a retailer. We're a platform company. That's where we make money. And the edge is a platform. So we view it very much as our core business. It's really important to note that since the inception of Azure, which is our public cloud, this was back in 2008, we've always promoted the need for hybrid cloud. We always expected that some workloads, for whatever reason, would need to run on-prem. Things could be data sovereignty. It could be regulatory reasons, performance, security. Anyway, lots of things will need to run outside of a hyperscale data center, no question. And so what we were calling hybrid cloud back in 2008, what is it? Maybe a more fashionable term for it is edge, but it's essentially the same thing, right? And the edge really means different things to many people. For example, how far does the edge extend? Our vision really is to span the entire computing canvas from the device or the thing itself, as Chip was mentioning, in an IoT context, all the way to the public cloud. And there's a lot of edges in between, right? Even the end device is an edge of sorts. Like I explained earlier, the value proposition really is to ensure that the same DevOps model, the same cloud native model are able to be leveraged across that entire spectrum. So, for example, we have secure, hardened, cloud native embedded operating systems, things like Azure Sphere. And so you have now an edge-enabled OS that can be placed in an MCU. We have intelligent edge AI devices like Azure Percept, which really include high cameras and also an onboard neural processing unit, so you can run machine learning models on that device itself and do vision analytics right on that device. We have a whole slew of Azure Edge capabilities, things like Azure Stack Edge, HCI or hyperconverged infrastructure, which we partnered with Lumen to deliver, and of course all the way to the hyperscale cloud. There's a lot of edges in there, and we don't deliver on this cloud and edge vision alone. We do work closely with our telco partners, not only to deliver the connectivity, yes, that's important, but we really want to work with our partners to deliver end-to-end edge services and capabilities. With offerings like Azure on Lumen Edge computing nodes, for example, which enables us to unlock more low latency, high bandwidth types of use cases for Azure customers. Imagine now if your Azure workloads really have less than a 5 millisecond latency, they're securely hosted in the edge location that's closest to you. That's the kind of capability that we'll deliver together with partners like Lumen.
Yep. So Microsoft clearly has an evolved and really focused strategy at the edge. Chip, from a Lumen perspective, in your position, delivering services that span from the cloud to the edge, how do you really think about Lumen's strategy and what the edge means to the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said before, needing to have all of the tools in the tool chest to be able to solve a customer's problem, right? So, obviously, we've talked about the cloud and the use cases around that, and we've talked about premise and the use cases around that. One of the unique things that Lumen provides is what we call our Metro Edge compute capability. So, these are cases now where we've been able to leverage our central offices and being able to leverage locations where we used to have these big Nortel 5E switches that took up large areas of real estate inside of those spaces. Now as we've gone to more of a soft switch type capability, now we have great advent of the use of a great space with power and cooling and obviously being right on our backbone, great network connectivity options. And so by being able to now decentralize those across up to 100 different locations across North America and across the world, we're able to now bring compute within 5 milliseconds of most industrial locations. And so that gives us kind of another tool in the tool chest to be able to not be dependent on, hey, I don't have space in my manufacturing plant or my mixed use development to be able to put up a whole compute infrastructure and the cloud's too far away. I get, poor application performance or my production line doesn't work well, when it's, all the way out across the country in Ashburn or San Francisco. So in those cases, now we're able to put compute very close to the customer's use case without being, dependent upon their real estate and not having a huge impact on application performance. So it really, again, doesn't, compete with the cloud, but it really, kind of completes the overall solution and those capabilities.
That's great. And so from those company strategies, right, in the ways in which HTC and Microsoft and Lumen are really approaching those markets, that has to open up a number of really interesting use cases. I'd love to have everybody spend a couple of minutes talking about what are Dan's, to start with HTC, what are the use cases you're really excited about? What are some of the coolest things you can do when you incorporate the edge that you can't do in other ways?
Sure. And I really appreciate Chip's last comments about taking, almost that last mile and bringing the network and the capability right to the customer premise and solving so many of those problems for them. What we're seeing is training and simulation across the board, whether it's in healthcare, education, safety, automotive, aerospace. We're seeing training and simulation as being one of the most overwhelming positive impacts and deployment use cases. Companies are upskilling, training employees into newer, more advanced roles where they may be not able to even find that talent. We're seeing hospital networks connect multiple hospital locations in collaboration on patients for better outcomes. We're seeing safety training for officers, so that there's better outcomes, safer outcomes. Now you have training at scale, distributed, and everything is coming back, to a centralized location. You can actually measure the performance of that training. You can measure the value of that training. You can see the impact of it. So now you have scale, you have more cost-effective, more effective training. The human factor just becomes more efficient, more effective. Everyone wins in this revolution, quite honestly. And so we're pretty excited about where it's going and the different use cases and how it's going to deploy.
Better skills and better healthcare, and those are all real positive influences on humanity. Rick, what are some of the exciting things that you're seeing from your approach at Microsoft that you think are just exciting? You can't do them any other way.
Yeah. No, but David, I was fully expecting the killer app question because I get it every week from telco customers that are investing in building out their edge and their 5G infrastructure, right? What's clear is that the business as usual is not going to generate sufficient revenue to really fund all these build outs, right? So we need to consider, what else can we do? What's clear really though is that most scenarios seem to be coalescing around video for us, right? Video processing, video analytics, video artificial intelligence. But we have to remember that in order for the edge to be exploited by developers, and that's what we're looking for, we want developers to build at the edge. But the edge really needs to bring value to those workloads. And that means that we really have to find the applications or categories of applications, like we did with video, that can really take advantage of those unique features that are enabled by the edge, higher throughput, lower latency, higher security. Because again, another point is that hosting services at the edge will be more expensive than hosting those same workloads in the public cloud. It's just a function of scale, right? So the resources are much more limited at the edge, and thus will be more expensive. And so we've learned from our experience that you can't charge more for the same service. And so for developers to run on the edge, they need to see value. And so we think that video is that workload, which does indeed take advantage of these unique benefits. Higher throughput so that large video streams, large files can be transferred faster. Processing at the edge, right? You want to be able to process that video close to where it originates. And you're not sending huge files up to the public cloud, which impacts performance and can be very costly. So, some video, and I think, Dan, you had some great examples, around, for example, manufacturing and workplace safety as an example. Let's ensure that hard hats are being used in dangerous locations. Make sure that dangerous tools are managed appropriately and returned to say storage after they're being used. This is an edge AI vision scenario, right? And you want to process that video at the edge. Around healthcare is another great example. We've seen some customers do patient monitoring, placing these edge devices, say, in hospital rooms so they can ensure that patients are safe, they stay in their bed. Even these sensors, these cameras can monitor vital signs, right? They can use not only just traditional cameras, but infrared cameras, LiDAR, to ensure that, for example, they can check temperatures, they can sense temperatures on a patient. All sorts of interesting use cases. A vast majority of these edge use cases involve video in some meaningful way. And so we've invested a lot. We've invested a lot really in building video analytics and AI capabilities that run at the edge, where these are the kinds of services that we can jointly deliver with Lumen. We've already done this with hundreds of customers, and they're really inventing new use cases to exploit at the edge, exploit vision at the edge. But maybe the most exciting scenario that's in everybody's lips for the edge is the metaverse, right? And what is the metaverse but another use case for video, right? Maybe how is it different from video today? It's more like, say, a live video stream because the environments, the metaverse environments are very dynamic, and it's also two-way types of videos, right? So we do need a new set of edge APIs, of network APIs that enable a bidirectional dialogue between a client application and the network. So that, for example, the client metaverse application can request the right level of resourcing from the network. It can fail gracefully if the network changes in any way, and it can make more efficient use of the bandwidth that's provided, like low latency services as well. So that's the future, and that's what we're aiming for.
So video and as one of the main killer apps and all the different derivative ways of feeding off of processing video in the built environment. Certainly an exciting set of use cases there. Chip, from your perspective, what are just some of the exciting use cases and solutions you're seeing when piecing it all together?
Sure, absolutely. And to build upon kind of the video theme that Rick introduced, and I'll use a kind of a retail example in the space is and being able to leverage all the different compute assets that are out there. So when I look at kind of the world, I look at what I call video processing, reporting, and analytics, right? And so when I think of say in retail wanting to do shopper behavior using video, we're at the premise edge. We're taking those video streams, breaking those down, doing the real time processing there, where we're creating in essence metadata out of those video streams, and I can take that metadata, say in the shopper behavior case, how many people were in the store at any given time. Well, I can take a snapshot of that every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and maybe a picture of that, and then the counts and the time stamps of that. Roll that up into a metro edge where maybe I'm taking that same type of data from multiple cameras in that store or from a regional geography standpoint, and being able to analyze that and be able to get statistics and trending and what's happening across that, and then being able to take that reporting data and roll it up again one more layer and bring in third-party data, maybe other historical trending from other similar types of business, and bring that into the cloud and really crunch some large-scale data to be able to get even more information out of it. So as we look at the ability to leverage compute in every one of these locations, it's that continual synthesis and rolling up and extrapolation and integration of other data sources that really create the power when you have all of those tool sets at your disposal.
Yeah, lets you be so much more efficient. Right? And sometimes the art of the possible is an economic argument as well. And if you can be more efficient, you can do more things. So with that, I think that's been a great historical perspective. And I think history has taught all these companies that there's huge opportunities at the edge. And we're seeing a lot of exciting use cases really starting to emerge from what real technology companies are doing in this dawn of the fourth industrial revolution. So I want to thank all of our guests. Thank you for everyone here at Transform 2022 for listening and tuning in, and hope everybody enjoys the rest of the event.
That was truly great panel discussion. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lumen, for supporting Transform's Edge and IoT content. So great always to collaborate with such an incredible thought leader. And that's it. It's a wrap. We're another year older, another successful Transform complete. Thank you, first of all, to all of you, our incredible attendees. Couldn't do it without you, as you know. Thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors, our sponsors who supported the event, provided all this amazing content for you. And we're looking forward to bringing more people together in person in 3 dimensions for 2023. Please make sure that you join us at the VentureBeat event, which is October 3 to 4 at SVN West in San Francisco. That's it from me. I've been Stuart Rogers, your VentureBeat MC, and I hope you all have an incredible time ahead. And hey, let's see you in October at MetaBeat. Bye for now.
Right partner help your business build something wonderful? Intel helps you get the most out of all your data by deploying intelligence exactly where it provides the greatest value, powering your business to find new insights, unlock new revenue, and discover fresh opportunities from edge to cloud to data center and everywhere in between. Together, let's accomplish something wonderful. At Capital One, we combine the power of a machine learning model with a cloud-based multi-region infrastructure, making banking better by strengthening the reliability of our mobile app so that our customers can stay connected to their money anywhere. Learn how we're using a cloud-native architecture to fuel the future at CapitalOne.com/cloud. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
The world seems to be spinning faster. New technologies are accelerating our lives. The markets are changing faster and faster. New products and services are disrupting old ones, and huge companies are disappearing. We all feel the speed and the need to compete. Our demands have increased in our private and business lives. We want instant answers and no waiting time. Time is the most valuable asset of human beings. Nobody wants to waste it for poor service. Customer experience has become a crucial competitive factor. Cognigy makes life easier for everyone and service a magical experience. We will help you to improve your service quality and cut costs at the same time. Our platform based on AI delivers personalized experiences at scale. Conversational service automation is the future of customer service. Cognigy AI. No time to waste.
AI itself is at an inflection point, and for a decade, we have set the pace for innovation unmatched anywhere in the market. Together, we're pushing the limits of both human and machine.
The power of AI is now in the hands of anyone that can use it.
We're pushing the limits of how AI can become even more aligned to the needs of every business.
We're seeing a fundamental shift towards making AI more accessible, faster, and impactful for businesses.
Tools like Data Robot can offer us an awful lot of potential.
How is our collaboration helping our customers? This opportunity to build turnkey solutions that help customers accelerate their time to value.
Complete enterprise operations for all parts of the model lifecycle.
You can ensure that you'll never be in the dark when it comes to tackling AI bias.
Welcome to Data Robot AI Experience 2022.
AstraDB, a flexible database as a service built on the open source Apache Cassandra project. It's a NoSQL distributed database that is known for its high scalability and availability. Data is partitioned and distributed around a cluster in separate nodes to increase performance, and replicated to ensure your data is always available. You can interact with your data using REST, GraphQL, and document APIs using Stargate.io, an open source data layer included in AstraDB, or directly with the Cassandra query language in a CQL console. It comes with a generous free tier to get started, and setting up a database is simple. Just log in with an email, Google or GitHub account, select Create Database, give it a database name, key space name, and select the cloud provider and region you prefer. That's it. You now have a 3-node Cassandra cluster in less than 5 minutes. For more information on AstraDB, check out the other videos in our AstraDB playlist. If you want to learn more about Cassandra, check out our Intro to Cassandra crash course or catch one of our weekly workshops. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.
Labelbox is a training data platform designed to help you iterate better. Use active learning to find model errors and prioritize labeling high-value data to improve performance. Accelerate velocity through collaboration, labeling automation, and low-code model training integrations. The result is a streamlined workflow, high-quality data, and consistently more accurate models in less time for less spend. We're trusted by Fortune 500 enterprises and leading companies fueled by AI. Try Labelbox for free today.
How does change happen? How did a revelation by an 18th century English physician usher in the dawn of immunology and the modern vaccines that today protect everyone you know? How did two brothers with a boyhood dream to defy the law of gravity launch an era of flight where 6 million of us now take to the skies every day? How did the need for collaboration at 4 leading universities set the cornerstone of the internet that today digitally connects us to the totality of human understanding? In the tradition of these breakthroughs, NTT Research tackles the most challenging scientific questions of our time in an effort to further humanity and the lives of us all. Every day, we strive to create a smarter world for the greater good. Because at NTT Research, our mission is not just to change the world, it's to upgrade reality.
Ignition. Waterfall flow. Main stage. 4, 3, 2, 1. Affirmative.
Keep going, baby.
Still rising. Recorders.
Keep going. Look at her go, hon.
There's greatness inside you, just waiting to be uncovered. It's a journey, a change in mindset. So let's get going. Let's grow with engaging content and a learning experience designed to help you be a better you. This is a commitment to continuous learning in an ever-changing world. Because you're an asset worth investing in. You are invaluable. Find the greatness inside you with Skillsoft.
Hey, I'm Joe, and Graph plus AI is transforming the world and is with me every day of my life. From the time I get up, Google, what does my commute to work look like?
32 minutes with moderate traffic.
To knowing my payment is secure when I buy a cup of coffee. And when it's time for my meeting, I can see how I'm connected to the customer on LinkedIn and which connections we have in common. I can even check the latest shoes for my training session. More importantly, I'll know when it's time to buy the return gifts for Danny's birthday next month. And when I'm back home, I can find the next big show to binge on after the season finale of Westworld. As you can see, I've been doing it all with a graph, from the time I wake up until the end of the day. Welcome to the age of graph.
Hello, have you met Typeform? If you want to grow your business, you should. Typeform is redefining how brands and people connect in the digital world with vibrant forms, surveys, quizzes, and asynchronous video solutions designed to keep the conversation going so you can engage with new and existing customers simply, seamlessly, beautifully, leading to more responses, higher completion rates, and the data you need to accelerate growth. It's that simple. Want to learn more? Say hello to Typeform.